Talking about this ease of hiring, yes, like if we talk about the practicalities, it became super easy, but still there are many things we need to know. One of the important things is to know this order and the order of experts you're hiring throughout the project. And also the arrangements, because of different type of arrangements with freelancers that you want to have with different roles in your team. This is quite a long list of roles, so I'm not going to go into the details. I have these resources in my blog post and a chapter in a book, but just I'm going to give a couple of examples. I think I already mentioned that that it sure makes sense to work with a software architect before you're hiring the software developers. It makes sense to work with the branding strategies before you start developing any kind of graphics and then the UI. I definitely recommend, even for a super small startup, with one programmer, one part-time programmer only, even to have a quality assurance expert. This quality assurance expert probably won't have many things to test, but you can get them for 2 hours per week and still make sure that the quality of your code is right from the very beginning. And then we have these arrangements that we can talk about. For some roles, it's important and suitable to have a long-term full-time arrangement. So it's almost like a full-time job. And that's, for example, the tech lead of your project, of your software development, like a core developer. For some people, you would like to have like short arrangement, but with a heavy workload. It can be, for example, a designer that's going to spend 1 month of full-time work to develop the mockups to start with, for example. And then there are the roles that are very part-time, but you really want them to be long-term with you. As I mentioned, for example, quality assurance expert, because you need this person to really know your project inside and out. But then again, there is not enough work for them to stay for more than a couple of hours per week. But it's important to maintain this relationship for a long period of time. Also, if you're using, for example, a virtual assistant, again, it's very important to have somebody who has the same tone of responding to the emails similar to yours, etc. And you want this person to be with you long term, even if it's very part-time basis. Then you have this arrangement of having an expert available to you on demand. I suggest this with software architect, for example. That's somebody that in the beginning, as I mentioned in my experience, is usually up to 5 hours of consulting that this kind of experts would provide. But it's important that this person stays available to you whenever you are thinking about making some major change, because they know the core of your product, so they don't need to go again into learning about your idea and what you have. So they are the ones who suggested the initial solution. So it's good if you keep them in the loop. If you send them the information about what's happening in your product, you keep them in the loop and ask them to be around and stick around on demand when you need additional hours of their consulting, when you're planning new changes, new releases, etc. So there's different kind of arrangements suitable for different roles. And as I mentioned, I have full list of those in the resources that you can check out later. But this is what's important. Yes, it's easy to hire, like the practicalities are taken care of by the freelance platforms. But as leaders, we also need to take care about these things and think in advance, how do we want our team to have the dynamics. Another thing that we need to think about is the onboarding. The traditional onboarding procedures that used to be common and probably still are common in corporate culture, in corporate environment, simply do not pay off here. Having like 2 weeks of orientation period, going around the company, learning about the history, all the departments, etc. Spending 2 weeks doing that, if this person is gonna stay with you for 3 weeks, simply doesn't pay off. So this onboarding needs to be super efficient. In the same time, because we do have this core team that is with us long term, right? We need to protect this team. Imagine this transient team, people coming in and out. Sometimes they're even called flash teams. I think that the US military came up with this term, having flash teams. Imagine this core team having the interruptions all the time. All the time somebody new is coming, they're asking more or less the same questions, etc., etc. So you as a leader of this kind of flash team, flexible team, transient team, freelance team, you need to think about this on board being super efficient. The people need to come in and hit the ground running because they are not staying for such a long period of time. So this time needs to be very well used, and also in order to protect the current team. So what I usually do is I prepare kind of a kickoff documentation, very brief, with all the details about the company project and also all the credential for the tools and platforms we use, etc. About our workflow, when do we have our bi-weekly meetings, etc. I prepare everything for the person when they join, but also it wouldn't mean much writing this document describing our work processes if these work processes were not already in place. And that's also one of the common mistakes with the startups, because they start as a small operation and they think this is an overhead, this is something they don't need. If it's only me as a founder and one more programmer or two more people with us, we're gonna just jump on a call, exchange a couple of messages on WhatsApp or Telegram or something, and the things start going. But then we have a huge problem because our team won't scale. The people who join down the road, they won't be able to understand what we've been working on. So from the very beginning, whichever tool and workflow you decide to use, I use Scrum and Agile, maybe you're going to use Kanban or something else, whichever tool you decide to use, whether it's Monday.com, Jira, Basecamp, Asana, etc., Trello, but start using it from the very beginning and start putting the information in the context, not in the long chats, threads, in emails. The information gets buried there. All the information should be in those tickets, cards, issues, however they are called in different tools. The information should be there from the very beginning, even when you are 2 people on the project and everything is super simple. It needs to be there, because otherwise the new team members simply won't be able to join efficiently and without interrupting the current team.